sit all the way back guy and then kind of pop up like this.
Sure.
Yeah. That's probably why the table's kind of leaning over here.
Yeah, he does pop up like that.
Whatever is the best posture to be looking at his phone while we're talking, that's how he sits. That's, so there you go. That's it. That's it. Hey, what's up, Peter?
GMFB with your tweets.
Hi.
Well, we haven't talked about the Packers today. Let's do it. Time for the Lead Block.
Lead block.
Just over 1 week until those Green Bay Packers report to training camp. That happens on July 27th. We're lucky enough to have Tom Pelissero here in studio, so let's get right to it. Tom, give us the update as far as where things stand with Aaron Rodgers and the front office with the Packers and his teammates and the fan base. All of it. Let us know.
There's a fascinating dynamic playing out here where everyone who is close or seems to be close with Aaron Rodgers keeps saying they think it's going to be resolved. They think he'll be back. And that goes to A.J. Hawk, his former Packers teammate, said it recently. Mercedes Lewis said he thinks he's going to be back even though he doesn't have any information. Go back to when R. James Jones said it, that he thought that this was fixable. Go down the list.
Peyton Manning even sort of giving a nod.
A lot of people have said they believe he's going to be back. But the Packers are not saying anything, with good reason, because every time that they have said something, it's become this other storyline. So they've clamped down. And when I've spoken to people who are familiar with this situation, everyone, even the people who are hopeful Rodgers is back in 2021, raise the same thing. It's Aaron Rodgers. He is very calculated. We know he has a plan, but he hasn't told anybody exactly what that plan is.
What's the plan?
He's got different levers that he can pull in terms of if he wants to push this further. Does he hold out, eat the fines, potentially eat the bonus repayment? Does he say before camp he's going to retire? I had one general manager who's been monitoring the situation closely who said it to me the other day. At this point, it's all about how ugly does he want it to get. The other option is Aaron Rodgers could show up, whether that's with a new contract or not. There are real questions, though, regardless of how things work out in 21, about the sustainability of this relationship. And this is something that goes back to months, the deep-seated frustration that Rodgers has with certain things about the Packers organization. He's always wanted to have some more power and control over his future. You can call it security, but it's not about financial security. That's something very few NFL players have. Most guys, the team controls. We decide when you're a part of this team. We decide when you're done here. Well, a year ago, Rodgers saw the Jordan Love pick and thought, this is them sending the signal, we're ready to move on from you. Now Rodgers is in that very rare position as the reigning NFL MVP where even if he doesn't have the contractual leverage, he does have enough to say, I need to have control over where things go from here. To this point, you have to assume that he has not yet been given those assurances or those contractual privileges, whatever it might be, that makes him feel comfortable with that. And now here we are 7-8 days away from reporting to training camp.
Yeah.
Rodgers has still not addressed this publicly.
Thoughts on this, guys? And it's a mouthful. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? It's a week's time. They're clamping down both sides. What would you guys like to happen? You know, or I guess hear from the Packers, if anything. I don't know if, to your point, Tom, I don't know if there's any good that can happen out of them saying anything ahead of training camp, Kyle.
I mean, listen, what I love to hear from them is that we want Aaron Rodgers to be our quarterback for years to come, and we want to make that happen. I'm with you, Tom. I think what Rodgers wants is a plan, and I think he wants some assurances. I think his greatest fear is that, let's say he comes out this year and he is the Packers quarterback and he shows up. Let's say he gets hurt. Let's say he breaks his collarbone. He has a lower body injury and he's out for the rest of the season. Then they just move on or it's over. Or, like, God forbid, maybe he doesn't play his best football and they just decide, we're done with you. I think he is saying, I want to be part of this decision. I'm just not going to get kneecapped at the end of some season when you guys decide to move on and I get blindsided. I get, Joe Pesci, Goodfellas. It's not going to happen to me. I want to have a plan. What are you doing with Jordan? What are you not doing with Jordan? How many more years are we going to do this? And that might be a closed-door handshake thing. The problem is I don't know if there's the trust there anymore. I think he wants an exit plan or a future because I've said this from the get-go. I think the one thing that is resoundingly not on the table is retirement. I do not think he will retire. I don't think he'll threaten to retire. He's even came on this show and he said, look, guys I grew up loving, Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, that's not going to be me. Like, he all but said on this show that he's not going to retire. So I don't think that's on the table at all. I think he wants assurances and just more than anything, a plan. Because it's so up in the air. When does Love play? When does Love anything? I think it's in the unknown, and I think he wants to know because I'm not going to get kneecapped out of nowhere at the end of one of these seasons.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel like this might be one of those situations where they get together, they see eye to eye, and they just get over it. Everything that happened was water under the bridge, excuse me. Have you ever been out somewhere at dinner, hanging out with your family, and you hear people arguing in the distance, or you hear some ruckus or people screaming, and you look over, you're like, oh, snaps. Looks like there's a fight. So you start coming to your own conclusions. So are they arguing over a relationship? Who did? Who dirty? What's going on? And then 3 minutes later, they're laughing, they're hugging, and they're joking. And you're like, oh, that's not a fight. Like,
you're disappointed.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I came to all these like storylines. I feel like the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, they could come together, have an agreement, whether it's a handshake behind closed doors, figuring out what they're doing with Jordan Love, or the Packers saying, you know what? From now on, when it comes to free agency, when it comes to the draft, you're going to have a large part, play a huge role in our decision-making. But more importantly, let's just go tell everybody we were just playing. It was no big deal. And for what it's worth, to your point, Tom, and we've talked about this on the show, if Aaron Rodgers came out and said, well, I never said anything, so why did you guys think I was so upset?
Yeah.
I wore a shirt about I'm offended. I was talking about climate change. Like, Aaron Rodgers could say anything,
He's gonna gaslight.
and we would have to just accept it because, you know what? We all were jumping to conclusions. Even though we have a good idea what this is about, they could literally just quiet it all by saying, we're good. Don't worry about it. We were just playing around.
You'd have to suspend disbelief so much at this point.
No doubt.
Because he's been given so many opportunities to say anything to stop the speculation. Even in the golf tournament. Are you going to be there week one? I don't know. I don't know. It also, let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers is a part owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. He hasn't been at the games, but they're in the middle of the NBA Finals. I'm not saying that that's impacting the timeline, but certainly you could imagine a scenario where Rodgers doesn't want to come out and deliver the bomb in all of Wisconsin in the midst of that. I mean, there's so many different things that are going on here.
Yeah.
There's absolutely frustration. That is very real. And that's why the Packers have gone out and tried to talk with him about it. That's why there have been ongoing discussions. The Packers have done what you said, Kyle, which is they've said, we want him to be our quarterback for now and into the future. They said it throughout the spring. Matt LaFleur is
that was months ago. I need it again. It's training camp.
The coach.
Why?
That wasn't the front office.
They've practically begged him publicly, to say nothing, to privately, publicly they've said they have stood
Kyle
ready
wants
to
it
do.
To be undeniable, and I agree with him.
At some point, Rodgers has to engage, whether that is publicly or privately, and figure out what is it going to take here. Because the Packers they've offered him a contract. They've offered him a deal that would basically ensure that he is getting through the next several years as the Green Bay Packers quarterback. So all those things have taken place. At some point, Rodgers is the one who has to make the decision. The team holds the contractual cards with the fines and the bonus repayment and all those different things, regardless of what he does. If he's not playing for the Packers this year and they don't trade him, they can go after his money. There's no doubt about that. But Rodgers holds the cards in terms of the Packers don't want to spook this by saying anything more publicly. Why kick the hornet's nest at this point? Just let him say something to them publicly, whatever. We're 8 days out. That hasn't happened.
You, Nate, were like the last person to say that you right away were like, he's showing up, he's showing up. You're the last one to say that he wouldn't. Then you were like, I don't think he's showing up. Where do you stand right now on this roller coaster? Because what you're saying, I think he could pull off something passive-aggressive like that. Look at Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's like, I'm happy. And it was like, no, I'm sorry. Your agent released a list of 5 teams that you would like to be traded to. Like, what do you mean? And, like, he let it, like, I didn't say anything. Everything's fine. And Aaron Rodgers said even less than that. Where do you stand right now with what's going to happen come July 27th?
I've come full circle on it. I do feel like he's going to show up.
Yeah.
What's your next best option? You know, Peyton Manning talked about it. You know, he feels like Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, they're solidified over there this year for the Broncos. And even if you do show up and there's some trade, some magical deal that goes down, like, does he have the right chemistry? Like, what about what those wide receivers and the offensive line, what about what they built with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater over the course of the summer?
Yeah.
And if there's any quarterback that can come in and save the day, it's Aaron Rodgers that knows the Green Bay Packers playbook like the back of his hand. So the best scenario, best case for everybody, including Aaron Rodgers, is for him to show up to Green Bay.
I mean, they went from scorched earth to he just wants a plan. That sounds like a pretty easy fix.
Sounds all right.
He just wants an exit strategy. That sounds pretty doable.
I would think so. And I would just say this, too. Maybe this is a little corny. I don't care. Don't underestimate that for the last 20-plus years of Aaron Rodgers' life, right now, this time of year, it's football time. Like, going back to when he was a little kid, it goes into July and August, he plays football. This is not someone who in the Andrew Luck mold of, I don't need football, I have other interests. This guy loves playing football. And this would be the first time since he was a kid he does not show up. And when he sees his teammates and his receivers,
Kyle,
I don't know.
But to that point, I know we got to get to commercial break. There's a lot of people that are sitting back saying, how much do you love it if you're willing to walk away from your brothers who are out there all summer long fighting to get ready to try to win a Super Bowl? Like, so, yeah, I know he loves the game. I played against him. I know how talented he is. I'm talking about the perception of maybe the fans. Even some players that are like, I don't know if you love the game. I'm not even sure if you love us because you're not here right now.
So true. I selfishly want it to be not anticlimactic. Like, I believe I'm going to Green Bay for the first day of training camp when we do this thing where everybody's everywhere. Don't show up on the 28th when training camp practices start. Show up on the 31st